name's Brooke, and this is Maker's Workshop. If you're new here, welcome. I'm gonna kick things off today with a little story. It's not really a story. What should I call this? Let me just talk. So every Friday on the Maker's Workshop Instagram story, I make pizzas. It started over the summer. I just started making pizzas every Friday because there's nothing else to do on a Friday. And at this point, it's an institution and also the only way I tell times. But a couple weeks ago, I lost my pizza peel, which is really a little bit confusing because the pizza peel that I had was pretty big and my kitchen is pretty small. I'm gonna take the opportunity to make a new pizza peel, which is really exciting. This project is really mainly a woodworking project, but there is some debatably unnecessary laser cutting involved too. Let's get started. I knew I wanted to incorporate a stripe into the design of this pizza peel, so I started by cutting some exotic wood into strips on the bandsaw. This is Paduke and zebra wood. Paduke seemed like a kind of pizza pepperoni-like color, that's why I picked that one, and the zebra wood just set it off really nicely, I thought. And then I mapped out the basic size of my glue up on the tabletop using painter's tape. I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted the design to go, so I thought the visual would be helpful. Also, I want to maximize how much I can get out of each strip of exotic wood, so I lined up the edge of them at a diagonal angle like this. This will minimize the waste. And then I grabbed some parallel bar clamps to get this first glue up going. I'm using a liberal coat of Titebond III, and I always go with a foam brush for this type of thing because you don't have any bristles. Keeping these lined up on that diagonal, I applied pressure and wiped away the excess glue. I'm not caring much about the glue squeeze out here because it's gonna get cut off anyway. And then I left this to dry overnight. And then got ready to tackle the rest of the glue up. Look what I found! I found an already dimensioned piece of maple. We had prepared this from the same slabs that we used for the drawer fronts on the desk project and on the dresser project that we did previously this year. So it's already ready to go. So I think I'm gonna use this for the bulk of my pizza peel to save myself some time. And I think it goes with what I've got going so far. The panel is already planed and joined, so I could go straight ahead and cut it to my size. This stripe section is much thicker than I actually need it to be, so to handle this, first I trimmed a sliver off of the bottom on the bandsaw. This gets rid of those glue drips quickly and easily, and also is giving me a really nice flat reference edge so that I can resaw this down the middle again on the bandsaw into two pieces. I set one aside and moved forward with the other. Also, at this point, I found a scrap of wenge that I thought would look good tossed into the mix here. And then I went ahead with the second glue up on the parallel bar clamps and let this all dry again overnight. Good morning! Guess what? It's Friday, so it is pizza night tonight. Which sounded great. Probably one of a pizza peel. All right, let's do it. Let's go. So there are a billion different ways that one could go about cutting this into the shape of pizza peel. I am naturally going to choose the one way that involves a laser cutter. And no, I'm not gonna laser cut this because it's gonna leave a really blackened, charred edge that I don't feel like dealing with, but I'm gonna laser cut a stencil and then cut it with the bandsaw. I don't know if this is overcomplicating it or making it simple, but I like laser cutting stuff. I quickly pulled together two pizza peel designs. I wasn't sure if I wanted something more stylized or something with simpler lines, so I just made two and then laser cut them in 1/4" plywood. concludes the abridged version of how to make a pizza peel. Because I probably could use these, but we're complicated here. This is the piece.
Okay.
So I made one that was more plain because it's going to be kind of busy.
Okay.
And then I made one that's a little bit more stylized, but I couldn't decide if that was like too much.
I like the stylized one.
Should I make it bigger? So I can just like throw a ruler on the edge and yank, you know?
Yeah.
You've been really helpful in this build.
Good.
Hold everything. Then I can see the stripe. Yeah, okay, I think I agree with myself. I cut the shape of the peel before drum sanding this down even with a 30 grit belt. You want to cut your shapes as small as you can get them before drum sanding to avoid getting rid of more thickness than you need to get rid of. Another thing of note is as I'm getting closer to my even surface, I am sanding this with the grain of the wood. It looked great so far, but to be an effective pizza peel, it can't really have this blunt edge on it. So I thought up a jig to tackle the issue, designed it in Illustrator, and then sent it over to the laser cutter to be cut in 1/4 inch plywood. And I got my box joints wrong. Oops. Just give me a sec. So this probably doesn't look like much, but hear me out. On the pizza peels, we need to get a taper on the edge so that it can scoop the pizza up, which I suppose I could do by hand, but I'm probably not gonna get it as precise as I want it. So this jig is gonna hold the pizza peel at an even angle as I pass it through the drum sander, which will get a much more even edge. The further down this way the spacer is, the higher the angle of the pizza peel. And then, you know, further down this way, the lower the angle of the pizza peel and the less of a taper you're gonna get. That makes sense. I designed the outer box to fit snugly around the peel to hold it securely with just pressure, and it actually seemed to work really well. And then to keep things even and straight, I did need to cut the handle to a nice square edge, but that was easy enough to do. And then I also added tape for good measure. I don't really think I needed this, but I did it. I was admittedly a little bit nervous to see if this would go off as I expected it to. I started with the 30 grit belt to quickly remove material, and it was looking pretty darn even across the curve of the peel, which was awesome. Coarse sandpaper removes material quickly, but also can leave fairly deep scratches that can be a pain to palm sand out. So in the interest of saving myself some time, I finished this off by switching the belt to a 220 grit and doing a few more passes to smooth out those scratches. Then I scorched it, which wasn't ideal, but that'll be easy to sand off later. The jig handled the blunt shaping I needed really, really well, which made it really quick and easy to just soften things down with a palm sander. This is also when I took my time refining the final shape of the peel with my belt sander, smoothing out any bumps and things left behind by the jigsaw. Now that this portion of the peel is done, I want to take a quick second to officially review the jig. Did it work? Yes. Did I maybe over sand it on the drum sander? Also yes. But I think with a couple little tweaks, the jig's actually a really functional design. So I'm gonna make those changes, and I'm gonna put the file for the pizza peel jig as well as the pizza peel templates on makersworkshop.com as part of our digital files library. So if you wanna do this at home or something similar, however you need to adapt it for the tools that you have, you can do that. I do think overall it worked for sure. And then it was time to put together the handle I was envisioning. I'm using Wenge for this to tie into that stripe that's hidden in the glue up. I cut 2 identical pieces that will go on either side of the handle like a sandwich. Using a caliper, I marked out where I needed to cut a wedge into this piece on the bandsaw to fit nicely around the maple handle. I did the same thing on the opposite side of the second piece of wood and checked to make sure everything was fitting together exactly how it was supposed to. It was looking good, so I tacked them together and then used a paper cup as a template for the curve I wanted to make a more graceful shape on the end. This just happened to be the perfect measurement. And then I loosely shaped this in the belt sander to get an even rounded shape. I'm going to take a second to mention that wenge is very, very dense, which makes for awful splinters. So you'll notice I am definitely wearing my gloves when I work with it. Pro tip for sanding when it's winter time and you don't have a spray bottle. Between rounds of sanding, you want to get things wet and then fully dry. This makes the fiber stand up and allows for a much closer sand. I don't have running water quickly on hand, and the snow actually worked out really, really well. I don't know if anyone will actually do this or not, but I did in fact actually stick with this, and it worked on this project. I slowly progressed up to a 220 grit and then revisited the handle that was now dry. It was basically dry. It was dry enough. I took my time doing the final shaping on this. Wenge is a really, really dense wood, so it moves slowly, which I really, really enjoy about it. I feel as though I can get great control with it. I originally had been planning on a more stylized handle too, but as I saw the boxier handle take shape, I kind of liked it, so I stuck with it. I did one last round of snow and a 220 sand on everything because it's going to be the last time to do this before assembly when I have easy access to all the parts. This was a really tight fit, and it actually took a good amount of malleting to slip into place, which I didn't manage to get a great clip of, but you know, I hit it with the mallet, you get the point. And then I cleaned off the excess glue squeeze out with some snow. And I guess I sanded again. You can never sand too much. Well, that's not true. I wiped off the excess dust with rubbing alcohol. This is gonna give me a nice, clean surface to apply finish to. I love adding little personal details to projects like handwriting. I'm just writing this on white paper with a black marker and using the Adobe Capture app, which really easily converts this into a precise SVG file. I was also really careful to configure this in the laser cutter in a way where the gantry is not going to hit the handle of the pizza peel because it sticks up. And it looked good and ready for finish. This is Howard's Butcher's Block Conditioner. It's a mix of beeswax and mineral oil, I believe, and it's my favorite. It gives a really nice velvety look and is great on cutting board type surfaces. I drenched the pieces in this and then let them soak overnight before wiping the excess off with a bone dry cloth and then letting it sit again. And then it was done and looking pretty sharp if I do say so myself. But wait, there's one more thing we gotta do. I'll link my go-to dough recipe and sauce recipes in the information of this video. People ask for them all the time, so they'll be down there. And good news, it passed the final test. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you at next pizza night. If you like this video, don't forget to click the subscribe button and leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite pizza topping is. Or maybe let me know if you think pineapple goes on pizza or not. Kind of a cliche question, but it's a cliche question because people get real heated about it. So let's get heated about it together. What? Have a good one, and I look forward to seeing you next time.